From a station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Tonight here at 5:30, it's a step in the right direction in reducing Indiana's infant mortality rates. Why there's still work to be done when you look at the big picture. Also, it sounds great and offer to lower your monthly satellite bill, but it's not what it seems. What you need to watch out for so you don't waste your money. Dan.
Starting today's lineup, can your employer be held accountable if you bring COVID home and your family member gets sick? This type of lawsuit is now coming up. We're looking at how well it holds up and how camps are pivoting with families looking for a change of pace as they work and learn from home. And following through on a promise to hire more minority workers, what some big companies are doing to be more transparent about their workforce.
New today, Indiana may be headed in the right direction when it comes to lowering infant mortality rates, but it still has a long way to go. Governor Eric Holcomb says Indiana's infant mortality rate fell last year to its lowest level in state recorded history. It fell from the 2018 rate of 6.8 per 1,000 live births to 6.5 in 2019. The national rankings of infant mortality in 2018, Indiana ranked 40th worst. This new rate would put us at about 36th worst, still toward the bottom of the list. The governor also talked about the decrease in mortality rate for black infants.
Look across the whole spectrum, and that infant mortality rate went down from 13 to 11%. So we are in the right places and investing the right resources, and it's literally saving lives. So I'm just couldn't be more giddy about that progress.
The state made reducing our infant and maternal mortality rates a higher priority in 2018 with new laws and initiatives aimed at better supporting moms and babies. Indiana Senators Todd Young and Mike Braun announced that President Trump today signed into law legislation naming an Indianapolis post office for a legendary Indiana senator. The Circle City Post Office at 456 North Meridian Street will be named after former U.S. Senator Richard Lugar. Lugar died last year. Kyle.
Take a live look outside across Indianapolis and you see some blue sky. You also see some cumulus clouds that are out there. We've been in and out of sunshine and some of these popcorn showers, we'll call them, kind of driven by some of that heating of the afternoon here. And we've even had a couple of flashes of lightning within a few of those out there this afternoon, especially along the Kokomo and around Howard County and Tipton County line there. The showers, they will be ending for us tonight. It will be on the cool side as we drop down to around 42 for that overnight low, but it's actually going to get a little bit cooler heading into tomorrow night as we begin to clear out those skies a little bit. We certainly could use the rainfall. We're not going to get a whole lot out of these showers. You can see they really kind of fizzle out here as we go towards sunset and beyond. And we do have some of that moderate drought today that expanded from Indianapolis areas to the west. Still some of that across the northern portion of the state as well. Winds are breezy with those temperatures around 60 degrees. We'll talk about a cooler Friday in just a few minutes. Dan?
United and American Airlines have sent furlough notices to thousands of workers. United is furloughing 13,000, American 19,000. The airlines say they can't keep the workers on without an extension of the CARES Act. Allstate will be laying off 3,800 people. That's more than 7% of its workforce. The cuts will be in sales, claims, and support roles. People were driving less early on in the pandemic, so there were fewer accidents and therefore claims. Allstate was one of many insurers that gave customers money back. And the pandemic has changed almost everything, including what some seasonal jobs will look like, as there are more positions related to online shopping. Walmart and Gap announced hiring specifically for fulfillment centers. Target is doubling staff for contactless service and distribution centers, and Amazon is growing and hiring as well. There are other lesser-known logistics companies that handle fulfilling online orders hiring in big numbers. Even 1-800-Flowers.com is hiring more people this year than it did last season, including work-from-home positions.
So with more people at home, less people in stores or stores being closed, they're going to be doing more shopping than previous years. But we are going to see an uptick, we think, in e-commerce jobs, perhaps, working from home, but also the logistics and fulfillment center type roles.
Not only is the pandemic expected to add to the already increasing online holiday shopping, but holiday retail sales are also expected to grow slightly. That's according to firms that track spending. While there is strong emphasis on jobs around fulfilling online orders, there are still typical in-person retail jobs available. Career website Monster found far more people plan to apply this year.
But it's always a good idea as job seekers, when you land these jobs, to work really hard, make connections, because you never know, these seasonal jobs that you're pursuing for extra cash may end up being your next full-time job.
For those on unemployment that might land a seasonal job, it will stop your benefits. But generally, you can get the benefits again once the seasonal job ends if you can't find other work. Ahead of our lineup, lawsuits are now coming up over claims of people bringing COVID home from work and family members getting sick. This type of lawsuit isn't new, but we're looking at why it may be harder to prove with COVID.
A normally busy northeast side interstate on-ramp is still closed right now and will be until tomorrow after a deadly crash late last night near I-465 and Allisonville Road. This is a live picture from the INDOT traffic cam there. The crash happened around 11 o'clock last night on westbound I-465 near Allisonville Road. State police say a truck veered off the interstate, rolled over and hit a light pole. The trucker died at the scene. Right now, it's still unclear what caused the man from Bay City, Michigan to veer off the road. Due to the low-hanging power lines and the extensive damage to the utility pole, the ramp from Allisonville Road to I-465 West will remain closed until at least tomorrow while IPL crews make repairs.
Businesses are facing a new type of COVID-19 lawsuit. Take-home lawsuits are based on the idea that someone has gone to work in an environment where their employer hasn't taken adequate safety measures. Then their family member gets sick. This type of lawsuit has been used for years with asbestos.
It's a lot easier to establish a causal connection in the asbestos mesothelioma world than it is in the COVID world. And I think that's going to be the challenge for the cases that are now being filed.
The most high-profile take-home lawsuit COVID cases filed so far is against an Aurora, Illinois meatpacking plant. The lawsuit says a man who worked there brought home the virus to his wife and she died from it. Her family is accusing the plant of failing to stop the spread. The company has a statement on its website saying it has taken a proactive approach to minimize the health risk of spreading the virus. The labor attorney we talked with says she expects to see high-profile cases like this, but she doesn't expect there to be an overwhelming number of take-home cases because of the issue with proving where someone was exposed. Still, she says companies are paying attention to this because they don't have the protection of the workers' compensation system in these cases.
So if I go into work and I'm exposed and I become ill, there's a very strong argument that my damages are covered and limited by workers' comp exposure. But someone who's not an employee is not subject to those limitations. And in the case of serious injury or wrongful death, the potential damages are extraordinarily high.
She says companies defending these take-home lawsuits will make the case about other causes of community transmission that could explain how someone was exposed instead. If your job allows you to work from home and you have a high-risk family member, she says she recommends asking your boss for a short-term accommodation. Still to come in our lineup.
To me, this is giving a lot of our parents and students some hope and breaking up the monotony.
How summer camps are pivoting to help families connect in a new way this fall. The first day of October might seem like an odd time to talk about summer camp, but one business has found a way to keep its operation running overtime during COVID. It's also allowing kids and adults to break up the monotony of working from home.
So I can figure this thing out.
By his very own admission,
It's going to be kind of annoying.
Stan Core isn't very good at this.
Actually, I'm kind of embarrassed. It's the first Zoom call I've ever done.
He is exceptionally talented, however, at allowing his kids a chance to do something different in an age where everything seems to be the same.
What I told my boys is, this won't be the worst thing that you will ever go through, but it probably will be the weirdest. And as much as I can get them out and doing things as a family, which is kind of rare these days, I will definitely take that opportunity.
For 40 years, Stan has gone to Camp Siegel in North Carolina, first as a camper, then as a counselor, and now as a dad who is trying to show his 3 kids a different COVID experience after he heard the camp was opening up to families who want to get away.
To me, this is giving a lot of our parents and students some hope and breaking up the monotony of whenever their school started.
The idea was Allison Simmons. She's been the camp's director for the last 16 years. And when COVID hit, she found her business squarely in the precarious position so many others did as well.
We sold out in about 3 days for our 5 one-week programs that we designed.
Ahoy,
The camp shared this video showing how, with the help of counselors like Essie and Samantha here, the camp opened up socially distant activities like boating, fishing, jet skiing, and archery, so families could do something different after spending time in the bunks working or learning remotely.
This is one son. This is my youngest, Tanner. This is his study spot.
For Stan, that means his boys can do their schoolwork with a pretty nice view while he gets to tend to his job working for the Pentagon.
They're all sitting in their rooms by themselves 6 or 8 hours a day in front of a screen, and that's just not normal for kids.
He says he's noticed they're now more attentive to their work and bicker less, as brothers tend to do.
We were blown away that 75% of our audience was brand new to camp.
It's also allowed Allison's business to flourish as they've found a new niche in clientele.
You can probably see this better than I can. I got so much glare.
Who may or may not have a better Zoom acumen than Stan.
Well, if your cable or satellite bill is pushing $200 or more a month, you'll probably be interested in any way to lower it. But consumer reporter John Matarese says you need to be on alert for a scam targeting subscribers so you don't waste your money.
For Charlotte Harrison, Dish Network is her connection with the world.
I don't have an outside antenna, so I have to depend on Dish.
So when Dish called, saying she needed to upgrade her equipment, she listened.
Because it scared me. I thought, well, I'm going to do this to keep from losing my TV.
At first, she says the caller said it was optional, but then his tone changed. But then he said, we're going to cut you off if you don't do this?
You have to do this. You have to send that check out today, or we're going to cancel your service.
He wanted her to mail $149 to a post office box in New Mexico.
And then I said, why can't you put it on my regular bill? No, you have to send that check out today.
Well, it turns out this is a very slick scam, and it's not just targeting Dish and DirecTV customers. People with cable as well are also receiving calls about lowering their monthly bill. Last year, Jackie Wilkinson got a similar call about her cable equipment, supposedly from Spectrum.
Ask, do you want to save money? So, naturally, in this day and age, who doesn't want to save money?
Same scam, different day. So don't let this happen to you. Satellite and cable providers will never call you about lowering your bill, and they'll never ask for an upfront payment for an upgrade. Charlotte's daughter Tiffany is just glad her mom got suspicious.
It is wrong. It's very wrong.
If you want to lower your bill, call your provider. If someone calls you offering a discount, hang up so you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, WRTV.
Some bright sunshine behind a few darker clouds out there this afternoon, and a few rain producers as well. But those showers are moving through pretty quick, and for the most part, they're fairly light and brief. We have had a couple rumbles of thunder out there, though, and as we go in for a little closer view, not picking up any lightning right now, but you got some more showers that are going to be moving through Kokomo into Frankfort with some very light rain right now, and then really scattered stuff here around Greensburg. Just had one of those moderate showers, and along I-65 south of Columbus, a few showers. Tomorrow morning, yeah, we're going to dry things out here. I think we'll actually start to dry out as we get around 9 o'clock this evening. Temperatures will drop back into the lower 40s. So it's a cool start to our Friday. It is also going to be a very cool finish as well. Temperatures only into the upper 50s. If we don't make it to 60 degrees, that'll be the first time since back in May, around the 20th of the month. Saturday is going to be a very nice outdoor day. Let's jump ahead to Sunday, and this shows you the next chance for some rain scooting through. Again, it's going to be on the lighter side, but a little damp, a little chilly here as we go into our Sunday. But overall, for the month of October, the outlook is that we will continue with these drier than average trends here. We average a little over 3 inches of rain and even about a ½ inch of snow. Average anyway. None of that in the forecast right now. And as we look at temperatures, no strong signal either way for above or below average numbers. But I do see a warm up in that 7-day planning forecast after a couple of cool afternoons, including a high of just 57 on Sunday. We'll be back around 70 degrees by Tuesday and Wednesday. Dan?
Say her name. It's been a rallying cry at protests over the death of Breonna Taylor. Black women are killed by police at a disproportionately high rate. But a new analysis by our partners at Newsy shows police killings of black men receive much more coverage.
Black women are the group who are most likely to be killed by police when unarmed of any group, including black men. And that illuminates kind of how deeply entrenched perceptions of black women as inherently dangerous, deranged, threatening, animalistic.
Before this year, Michael Brown was the most well-known male victim. His name appears in more than 7,000 news articles. George Floyd's name in more than 9,000 stories. But if you add up the 21 most well-known female victims' names, they appear in about 2,500 stories. The Newsy survey looked at high-profile names of victims of police violence. It found most people are far less familiar with names of those who are women. Most people say they haven't heard anything at all about the highest-profile black women killed by police aside from Breonna Taylor. Another name you may not recognize is Charlena Lyles. In 2017, her cousin says Charlena called police for help during a burglary, but when officers arrived, they shot her 7 times, killing her.
It's been 3 years and we don't even really know what happened, why it had to happen, and what you could have done differently.
Experts say police violence against black women has gotten worse since the 1980s. Part of the reason is that black women and children are largely impacted by drug rates. A new review finds that local governments have recently made cuts to police budgets, but they've been mostly modest. It's driven by dropping government revenue because of the pandemic and an effort to rethink public safety. Activists have been calling to defund the police since the killing of George Floyd. That generally means shifting money from law enforcement to other agencies that may be able to respond to calls that aren't crime-related. The numbers have shown over the past decade, fewer people who are young are going to church. Amanda Brandeis visited with one group trying to battle the trend.
They're called the Religious Nuns.
All we know.
A diverse group made up of atheists, agnostics, the spiritual, and those with no specific organized religion.
I think many of us are finding connection, spirituality, in ways that, for our parents maybe would seem quite odd, but for us feel more relevant and feel more authentic.
A millennial herself, columnist and author Jill Filipovich considers herself a part of this growing trend.
I don't affiliate formally with any of these religious beliefs, even though I guess I am sort of culturally Christian.
The Pew Research Center found just 27% of millennials say they attend religious services on a weekly basis, compared to 38% of baby boomers.
Millennials, as I said, are relatively progressive people, and the Catholic Church is a formal patriarchy. It's an organization in which women are formally barred from being in positions of power.
But while less religious, millennials are still likely to engage in spiritual practices.
It's such a key part of the human condition to want to understand, why am I here? What is my purpose?
We are living in, as everyone says, unprecedented times.
The San Diego Diocese Young Adult Ministry was created to connect young adults to the Catholic Church.
And that's where we start to cultivate relationship and just bring us all the baggage, bring us all the stuff that you have questions about, and let's just talk about it.
Through conversation and social events, they're connecting with marginalized groups like the LGBT community.
Try to mend some of the damages we've seen done across the previous generation or so.
I didn't have the right friendships. I didn't have the right connections. It all came down to a moment of emptiness in my life.
A young adult ministry coordinator, Daniel Godinez, was 27 when he reconnected with the Catholic Church.
It was absolutely tough. I think that not having the support from your friends at that moment when you're going through that transition process.
Where Christ looks at us and loves us.
And now, rather than large gatherings, the church must rely on small events like this to continue its outreach during the pandemic.
It's one person at a time for us.
I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Next in our lineup, big-name companies are now saying they'll reveal more about their diversity. What else they need to be doing to retain those minority workers. Several brands have promised to change names and logos that are rooted in racism, but it may still be a while until you see new packaging in grocery stores. Aunt Jemima says its new branding will start hitting shelves this month, with a rollout continuing through the end of this year. Cream of Wheat says the Black Chef will be removed starting early next year. And new packaging to change Uncle Ben's to Ben's Original is also expected in 2021. Mrs. Butterworth hasn't announced a timeline for changes yet. Companies are facing new accountability when it comes to their promises to hire more minority workers. This week, more than 30 major companies, including Wells Fargo, Amazon, and GM, agreed to publicly share their full government diversity reports by next year. Some, like Target, have already started releasing them. Its report shows 40 of its 777 executive or senior level workers are Black and 50 are Hispanic. But a diversity and inclusion expert says accountability goes beyond the reports.
Diversity and inclusion work is a long-term journey that you take. And so it's not a destination. And so the companies that have challenges, once they present these reports, it's what they continue to do. It's the consistency that really matters.
Hattie Hill has spent more than 3 decades working with companies, nonprofits, and foundations on diversity and inclusion. Hiring diverse workers is a first step, but it can be a challenge to retain them.
So we have to make sure that those role models are there, because even if we do a great job getting them hired and locating people, they look up and go, oh no, this is not where I want to be. So it's having those role models. It's making sure that you have employee resource groups, areas where people can connect.
She says she's been amazed by the number of executives who have recently told her they had no idea about the issues with minority inclusion in their workforces. If you are trying to make a change from within your workplace, she recommends looking around and determining how things usually get done. We're seeing a lot of COVID cases at colleges across the country, but not at one school that developed its own rapid COVID test. Tomorrow, how they say their testing program could be pulled off at other schools.
Well, prepare to dress for fall weather this coming weekend. On Saturday, that is going to be the pick of the weekend here as we enjoy a high in the lower 60s, more clouds, and even a 40% chance of some scattered showers across the area on Sunday. So you'll need the umbrella there as well at 57 degrees for the high. It does warm up in the 7-day planning forecast, though. We're approaching 70 by Tuesday, 73 Wednesday. Looks like much of next week will be dry.